Well, hey, we're here for another edition of Real Estate Questions Revealed. Really looking forward to this talk. This is near and dear to my heart. We're going to be discussing VA loans. My father, grandparents were veterans, so this is something I've always taken a lot of pride in trying to be as informed as I can. We're lucky enough to have a veteran. So, Nick, thank you very much for your service. And I know that's kind of spurred your in-depth knowledge of this as well, but I'll just go ahead and throw it to you and let you introduce yourself and tell you who you're with, how to get in contact with you. And of course we'll add it later and then we'll jump into the discussion.
Yeah. So how you doing, everyone? My name is Nick Wyrick. I'm with the Wyrick Mortgage Group of Victorian Finance. Best way to reach me is with my cell phone. It's 304-654-6950. I always tell people this: if I don't answer, you will get my voicemail. Just please send me a text. That's the quickest way to get to me. You can also apply online on my online link. It's nickwyrick.victorianfinance.com. If you want to email me, it's nick@victorianfinance.com.
Okay, great. So let's get into discussing VA loans. And how would you describe a VA loan exactly? How would you frame that question?
Yeah, so the VA loan is really the best loan program that's available. It's available to veterans who have reached a veteran status or service members who have reached veteran status. It is a zero down payment with no PMI. It's guaranteed. It's backed, guaranteed by the government. So that's the reason why there's no PMI. I did say that you do have to have veteran status, which means once you're a service member, you do have to be, if you're active duty, you have to be 90 consecutive days of active duty. Or if you're reserved or guard, you need to at least serve your 6-year contract completely. Or you can be 90 days activated consecutively during this time of war.
Okay. So without getting in the weeds too much, can you talk a little bit more about what the requirements are in regards to if someone's used one before, if they've never used one, anything that they would need to do in regards to that?
Yeah, so basically they would need to supply us with their DD-214 or the VA to get what's called their certification of eligibility. Now, what the certification of eligibility is, it will show if you have entitlement or not to get the VA loan. Now, the entitlement is how much money that the government will guarantee if, for some reason, this veteran was to default, which rarely ever happens with the VA loan. But you can use a VA loan twice. One of the biggest misconceptions of it is that you can't use it more than twice, but most of the time, if you purchase a home, they do want you to pay off the VA loan prior. But there's also times where you can have two VA loans at once. With the VA loan, there's two different types of entitlement that a lot of people don't know about. There's a basic entitlement, which is $36,000. That's when the VA loan was first created, and it will cover up loans from $0 to $144,000. Then you got what's called your bonus entitlement, which guarantees $85,000, which are loans for $144,000 or more. So you can actually have two VA loans at once and use both of those entitlements.
Okay. So are there any drawbacks or additional fees or anything like that that a veteran should go in being aware of?
Yes, so there is a funding fee. Now, the funding fee is, I believe it's 3.6% now. Now, with the funding fee, we will add that onto the loan amount. That way you don't have to pay it at closing, because we do realize that's a large sum of money depending on what your purchase price is. But if you are a veteran who is drawing benefits due to a service-related disability, or you're a veteran who retired with the military, you're exempt from that funding fee, which majority of the time, these service members have got some type of service-related disability to where they're exempt from that funding fee. you do add the funding fee, we'll add it onto the loan.
Okay. So are there any type of limitations on the type of property that you can purchase with a VA loan?
There is. Now, with the VA loan, they do want it to be your primary residence. Now, a lot of people do want to use it to purchase investment property, which you can. A lot of people say you can't, but you can. You can actually purchase a home or a residence up to 4 unit, a 1 to 4 unit home. So if you're looking at a fourplex, you could purchase that with your VA loan. You just have to occupy one of those units for, I think it's 6 months. You have to at least occupy it for. Most of the time, I've seen people who have done that, and they just stayed in there, and they're just basically using the rent to pay off their mortgage.
It's a good idea. Yeah. So, and also with that too, you know, a VA loan is not necessarily set up for fixer-uppers or foreclosures or anything like that, correct? It's more or less, it's really designed for someone to move into a move-in ready house that is safe and no issues.
We're designed for a move-in ready. Like I said, this is a guaranteed loan, so there's no mortgage insurance. So they do want it to be more move-in ready.
Yeah. Okay. So is there any common misconceptions? I think you mentioned one kind of earlier before, but any other common misconceptions or anything you wish people knew about the VA loan, whether it be an agent or even a realtor for that matter, that would be good to have out there?
So one of the biggest misconceptions is that the VA has probably one of the strictest appraisals and underwriting. The appraisals fall within around the same guidelines as the FHA loan.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's something that you can see that will pass FHA, more than likely it's going to pass the VA also. Now, like I said, you know, the VA loan is a guaranteed loan. It's not backed by mortgage insurance. So that's the reason why they're a little bit more strict, and they want a more move-in ready type of home. But for the agents that's out there that's probably watching this or listening to this, if it's going to pass a FHA appraisal, or it's going to come back with just minor things that need to be done, then it's going to be about the same for the VA loan also. As far as the underwriting goes for a VA loan, there's not that many overlays. So the percentage of approvals that's going through the VA are extremely high. I think the last number I saw was 98% when it went to the VA. So.
Okay. So, yeah, first off, it's kind of a two-part question. One of the things that I'm trying to have my lenders do, because I feel like having it explained in a couple different ways, maybe somebody will say it one way that it kind of registers, but can you talk about what debt to income ratios are? And then second part of that question, what kind of debt to income ratios do you need for a VA loan?
Yeah, so what debt to income ratio is, it's how much you make with your employment versus how much debts you got going out. So with the VA loan, I have seen a debt to income ratio of going up to a 56%. Now, with that 56%, most of the time, these are people who have a higher credit score, got reserves put back, stuff like that. Depending on your credit score, how much reserves you got put back, the guidelines for that back end debt to income ratio will go down most of the time. I've seen it go up to 50. The highest I've seen it go up to 56. Typically, if you're setting at that 580 to 600 credit score mark, you don't have too many reserves put back. Most of the time, that back end debt to income ratio is going to be that 43 to 45, 47%.
Okay, cool. So are there any situations to where someone besides the veteran can use those benefits to purchase a home, or is it only designed strictly for the veteran themselves?
So it's more strictly designed for the veterans themselves, but if it's a spouse that is a surviving spouse due to her or his or his or her husband or wife went overseas and didn't make it back for unfortunate reasons, they are available to use the VA loan as long as they haven't remarried yet. Also, as far as the VA loan, if a father or mother want to give their house to their kids, they can have it to where the kids can assume that VA loan, even if they're not a veteran, and or they can do that with basically any civilian as long as the VA approves it through the VA underwriting.
Okay. So, kind of lastly, what kind of advice would you give someone watching this if they're trying to determine if a VA loan fits best for what, for their own personal situation, or if they want to get additional information? Obviously, they can reach out to you directly, but what advice would you give someone that's looking to possibly use a VA loan?
The best advice I can give, as far as if you want to see if what loan program is best for you all, and I'm sure Ryan will second this, contact the lender, see how much you can be pre-qualified for first before actually going out and looking at homes and getting too excited about a home. So reach out to a lender, find out what the best loan program is going to be for you. If you're a veteran, 99.9% of the time, it's going to be a VA loan for you. If you have any questions on the VA loan, and you don't want to really reach out to a lender yet, you can look up the lender's handbook, which is the VA pamphlet 26-7, which is what the underwriters use to underwrite the loans. It has all the answers in there for the VA loan. You can go on there and look it up through Google and find whatever answer you need. Now, that being said, that is the Bible of the VA loan, and it is about that thick. So it's going to take a lot of siphon through. So you might want to just reach out to the lender, ask them about it. I am a VA expert. I went through mortgage military boot camp. So just reach out to the lender and ask them if VA loan's best for you.
Okay. So finally, and possibly the most important question is, what advice would you give for someone that is going to be getting a loan, whether it be VA, FHA, USDA, conventional, whatever? What advice would you give them to make their process the smoothest as possible?
Okay, so you want to get what we call the initial documents together, which is your photo ID, 30 days worth of pay stubs, 2 months worth of bank statements, and your past 2 years tax returns, W-2s, 1099s, or your business owner, your business tax returns. You want to get all that stuff together to go ahead and hand off to your lender. That way we can check all those documents to make sure that everything is verified to where we can take it to a qualification to a full-on pre-approval. The difference between a qualification and an approval is qualification, we're going based off what you are telling us. And then we can issue out a qualification letter to where your realtor will go out there and show you, or agent will go out there and show you properties. But in order to get that approval, we have to see those documents. And those initial documents are what we need to send to the underwriters. So that's going to make your process so much smoother. The other thing I always ask my borrowers is to please, anytime I call or text, reach back out to me as soon as possible. Check your emails a couple times a day, because these processors, they're in front of their computers all the time, and that's their main means of communication. So check your communications, get all your documents together, get them into us as soon as possible, and we'll make this as smooth as possible for you.
Yeah, I think one of the ways that another lender put it was engage. That stay engaged. For that, if it's never been a strength of yours, put that aside, and for the next 30 or 40 days that it takes to process, make sure that you're keeping in contact, because that's one of the things I always talk to people is that, there's really only a couple things that hold this stuff up, and one's an appraiser, which we don't have any control over how quickly they can get out or how quickly they can find comps. but the other one is really them, how quickly they respond to needs that the lender has. So, but again, thank you very much for jumping on here. Thank you for taking some time to explain this. I didn't necessarily want to get a whole lot in the weeds. There's a whole lot more we could get into with the VA loan, but I think that's better left for a discussion as a one-on-one, because everybody's going to have different specifics. But I do think hopefully this has helped some people and will help them navigate and understand things a little better. So that way, when they do engage with you, they have that background knowledge and maybe their questions, become a little more clear. So again, thank you very much. If you don't mind, go ahead and remind everybody who you are, how to get in touch with you. And that way, if they have additional questions, either about a VA loan or something else, they can reach out to you.
Yeah, so again, I'm Nick Wyrick. I'm with the Wyrick Mortgage Group, Victorian Finance. Best way to reach me is through my cell phone. It's 304-654-6950. Please call me, text me. If I don't answer, please leave me a text. It's the best way for me to get back to you. You can apply online at nickwyrick.victorianfinance.com. And if you want to email me, it's nick@victorianfinance.com. And just want to say one thing real quick, Ryan, if you don't mind. If anyone's watching out here who's in the service industry, the first responders, medical personnel, I know it's tough times right now. I appreciate you all. I completely understand. I was a police officer for 5 years at a local police department, so I completely understand, and I just hope you all stay safe.
Well said. And thank you again, Nick, and look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, brother.
Thanks, man. Bye.